How you doing, everyone? Let's get into your Draftstars recap for round 20. We kick it off with the Thursday night game, Eagles v Roosters, and not my best game. Come about halfway in this one. We had a few guys that just didn't perform, and one of those was Suoli'i, who I've been speaking about as one of those guys that has that mid-20s score in him and then has the really big ones, and unfortunately this time was not one of those great games. They didn't play very well, the Roosters overall. A couple of decent plays in here. I had Nat, Butcher, and Teddy, who were solid, but Joey Manu was the play in this one. It shows that he's still able to score really well in that centre position. And I've been speaking about guys like Andrew Davey on a regular basis. He did a great job, but just overall, we had probably three guys that went a little bit under what they should be. And, there weren't a lot of huge scores in this game. So that was our first one. We move on to the two Friday night games, and we had the Warriors v the Storm, and again, not the best outcome in this one. We had a few cheaper guys that didn't score too well. Just went with Bunty Afoa, who's been averaging in the low 30s there, and unfortunately a 20, and then Aramea, a very low one as well in that 15. So again, you were picking. Is the Storm going to win? Warriors going to play solidly, and if you went for Kossi, who was the same price as Aramea, you obviously got the extra 50 points, and that helps you out dramatically there. Meany, unfortunately, getting injured, cost him a few points as well, so that wasn't ideal there. And then, picking Sean Johnson, who's been scoring pretty well. Even in a closer game, he was only managed to get the 34 in this one, so not ideal. Seve has been really solid there, so not perfect in that game. We move on to the Eels v Panthers. And in that one, it was a very crazy game, obviously expecting Panthers to do fairly well. They played a pretty solid second half, but unfortunately weren't able to get the job done considering how crazy that first half was. So if you went heavy on the Eels guys, guys like Sean Lane, who I speak about each and every week, who's been completely dominant, then that was a good one. Isaac Tunga's been playing really, really well, so picking him in the squad was a great one as well. But other than that, wasn't very ideal in terms of the scoring. If you had Isaiah Papali'i, if you had guys like Moses, did solidly as well. Dylan Brown had a great game. Obviously, anything but Cleary. And Robert Jennings, who I've spoken about regularly as well, as a cheap guy who unfortunately got a HIA and didn't play the rest of the game, then you snuck out of that one pretty well. Okay, we move to the first Saturday night game, which was Titans v Raiders. And in this one here, again, a couple of the outside backs that just weren't able to score very well. If you went for Herbert and Sammy, Sammy's been scoring all right. Herbert, up and down. Then he did really well. Tarpanay was the one you needed to pick, and unfortunately I just couldn't find the cash to pop him in, even though we want to, so that 101 for him. Hudson Young as well with a 79. I personally had a bit of a tough one here. Both for Moore was one of my good selections. Aaron Clark was solid with his 45. Those two guys were my only good ones in this game. Foggs is with a 50, but being able to pick Tanner Boyd at that super cheap price there in the 6 jersey was the way to go, and Wyden outdid Foggs in this one. So not the best one. It's very hard to predict in those type of games when Raiders haven't been Raiders have been solid, and Titans a bit up and down with guys like Toby Sexton and stuff like that. But the Sharks v Rabbitohs game was very interesting. Pretty much all the top selections we were pretty happy with. We had Murray being a solid one, Totola still a great option there. Cam McInnes, given he was going to get big minutes, was going to be the way to go. Picking Hines or Cook, either of them was picking one of them. Well, worked out well. Kolomatangi's been really dominant, so he was good there as well. And then the only cheaper guys like Isaiah Tass was a solid one. And, really the main issue here was if you went with Latrell and the 36 on normal fantasy, obviously, he didn't perform as well as we would have hoped. So if you missed out on him, you did pretty well on that one. And then guys like Jed Cartwright, who didn't play the big minutes, was the slight issue in that one. And then the Broncos v Tigers, we spoke pretty heavily about Alex Seyfarth getting that 11 jersey, and when he does play that role in that cheaper price there, he's really, really dominant. Good idea to give Dewey a second chance. It was him, or it was Reynolds, for example, and Reynolds was solid without being spectacular there. Offengawe with 59, and Haas were the two big dogs to speak about in that, so both of them had a good one. And if we're looking lower down the line, we had guys like Kelma Tuolangi, who had a solid game. Obviously, a bunch of a line break or two there who did well, but only the 65 minutes for him. And then guys like Dane Laurie had a solid one. So the 6 tackle breaks was good there for him. But overall, we're looking to avoid guys like Carrigan from here on in, who just didn't play well enough, unfortunately. And then outside backs was the interesting one. If you got lucky with, Mariner didn't play as well. So if you avoided him, you might have, served not too badly there. And then we got 2 games to go, which was the Knights v Dogs, which I'll go through first. Knights v Dogs. We'll go through that one here. didn't play that one as well. But Carraz with a massive game, the full 98 for him was incredible. In obviously fantasy there, which was great. So spoke about him as a nice cheap option week to week. Torpenair, we spoke about him as well in that edge back row role. Great chance of getting big points if he gets good minutes. So those are the two top guys to select. Actually would have went pretty well if I hadn't played this one. And then Burton would have been the one that just didn't, unfortunately, perform as well as you would have hoped. And Adokar, not so strong either. So it was the right wing that they were going to in this one. Brodie Jones, if you went for him, only got the 24 minutes, so it wasn't nice at all. And then Averillo, 32 in that one was okay. We move on to that last one, the Dragons v Cowboys. I finally got to go and watch them win, which was nice. But scoring-wise, wasn't incredible. I went for Moses Mbai at the back, given he was very cheap. But if you went strong with Drinkwater, Holmes, and someone like Jeremiah Nanai, which isn't even... Sorry, Nanai with 86 was obviously the best performer in this game. Tommy Dearden was solid as well. Blake Laurie was really low compared to how he'd been scoring. So I really only had Robson. That was a solid scorer. And Holmes in this one, which both said that both of them are going to do pretty well. Nanai was pretty expensive, but he's been super the last bunch of weeks. So Jack Bird underperforming a little bit in the centres, but you'll take the 31. And that's it for round 20. So not the best week for us on Draftstars. I hope you did really well. And if you're looking to get into it as of next week, if you think that's going to be your week, jump in that description, hit that sign up link, guys, and we'll see you in the next week's videos. Have a good one.